This is Soccer 101 with Moon and Rocchio.
Hey, welcome back to Soccer 101. I am Moon, and that is Matt Rocchio.
Let's go, Moon. Let's go, baby. We're within a week of the game. We got new kids coming out. I mean, it's time to get excited for St. Louis soccer.
I'm excited. I can tell that you're excited. Just seeing you in the hallways over at Hubbard, you know, like when we're seeing each other kind of pass on the way to the jock bathroom, as they call it, and the coffee room. Like there's a pep in your step, my man.
Mm-hmm.
There's kind of a pep in my step too, and I think it's a little bit of the sun being out kind of recently, and the season is a couple days away, like a weekend and a sleep, and then we're there, dude.
Yep, and it's not just we're there. It's Champions Cup, which is just is an insane thing to think about as people who obviously, you know, like most soccer fans in St. Louis, our experience starts, you know, when we were young. But when it comes to like this level of competition, a lot of us became fans through the European game. And so hearing something like Champions Cup, it has this like sound. There's almost like trumpets blaring in your subconscious whenever you say Champions Cup, because it's such a big deal. And so I'm so excited that it's here on Tuesday, not just starting the season, but the fact that we're kicking off the season with this kind of potentially legendary game for City in their history. I couldn't be more excited.
Yeah, me too, man. And I know, you know, we didn't talk about it too much in the beginning of the last season. You know, even after that incredible first couple matches, but it was like, you know, when they announced the team, we were going to get a team, and we thought, okay, you know, and for those that don't know, you gotta end up in the top leagues. You got to end up in the top of your league to make it to the CONCACAF Champions Cup. And it's an interleague league. It's like the UEFA Champions League from over in Europe, if you're familiar with that, and kind of how that works. You know, they take the top four from England against the top four from, Germany, and the top couple from Italy, the top couple from Spain and France and all that. And they, it's just incredible. They've got the music. I'm sure you saw the ads for the Super Bowl and all that. Well, this is ours, the CONCACAF Champions Cup. And to have St. Louis City SC come out of the first season, win the division and be up there and get into the CONCACAF Champions Cup in the very first year that they were eligible is just icing on the cake, the coolest blessing. This is a big freaking deal. And it's not even something that I hoped for, because it's not that I wasn't thinking about it. I was just being a reasonable fan, thinking this is going to be our inaugural season. I hope we do really well. I hope we impress a whole bunch of people, and I hope it's exciting. And of course, to end up talking about the first match of the season here coming up on the 20th against Houston. Yeah, it sucks that it's against Houston, and it's hard to explain to people when I'm like, it's this big deal, this interleague Champions Cup, and they're like, but you're playing Houston. You know, that's a little bit of a bad luck sort of thing. But Houston is on fire. They're a great team, and we got to make it through them anyway to have anything to say about this Champions Cup anyway. So you may as well get a team like this out of the way and do it early in the season. Am I right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and I love that it's starting off with an MLS opponent right out of the gate. You know, feet wet a little bit. Don't have to make the big jump to the south to the the Middle America clubs right out of the gate. So I like that for City. You know, it's a little bit of a lean in on the first round, and I don't want to get too cocky, but you know, because Houston's a good team, but they're missing their biggest signing from the offseason. At least they are right now. Something could change. I don't think so for at least for the first leg on Tuesday. And on the opposite side, I just keep getting more excited about the additions that St. Louis City made, and all those guys are available, and they're hitting the ground running. They've played in all the preseason games. We got another preseason game between our last podcast and this one, Moon, where City again looked good with the young players. The new additions all looked really good. So there's a lot of excitement around St. Louis City, and for good reason.
Yeah, there's a lot of excitement, and like you said, in this preseason stuff, everybody is looking sharp. Everybody's looking sharp. It's looking like a cohesive unit with a real plan. I know that's been the St. Louis City way so far this last season or two, is like having a plan and executing that plan. Everybody's looking really solid. Now, we've gone a few minutes on this episode already, and we haven't acknowledged that today is a special episode. Yes. Matt and I are recording this a day or two before we're releasing it, kind of for the first time in a while, because there's a huge announcement that's about to be made, and this is the day the announcement is made. We're having Matt Sebek, the CEO, the Chief Entertainment Officer of your St. Louis City SC. He's going to be right here with us in just a few minutes. We're talking all sorts of things. Now, he was making the rounds last week about the elevating the food experience over at City Park. We know all about their local in-stadium food program. They had 25 different eateries that were a part of the in-game experience last year, and they're adding more. We talked a little bit about it in the last episode. Mr. Matt Sebek is going to come on here and talk a little bit more about that. But there's also a huge release, a huge announcement that's happening on this podcast and around the soccer world today. That's going to be exciting. So we'll get to that in just a few minutes when Matt jumps on the podcast. I'm excited to see him again. Have you had him on your show before, Rocchio?
Yeah, we had Matt on last year to kind of break down, all the different stuff they're going to be doing. We had him on last year to talk about, that first round of the restaurants. And I know we talked about it a little bit last week, and we're going to talk a lot about the jersey, but I'm interested in asking Matt again, just, what, obviously the incredible success from the food and kind of this new era of city flavor, another year of city flavor as they're pumping up as kind of everything he's got going with that. We already talked about everything they're adding for City 2. I'm fascinated by that. And I really want to get his thoughts on what went into the thought process there, because, and really, if anything, I kind of want to get down to what you talked about, Moon, in a couple episodes ago, which is continuing to build the culture and reaching out to the city and making sure it's a cohesive effort between the team and the city in building this unique soccer culture in St. Louis and defining it the MLS level. And I really think that these are the kind of things that do it.
Yeah, and another thing, and we didn't even plan on talking about this, but you were just talking about how they're kind of connected to the city and how they've done that right and helped build the culture here, or continue the soccer culture here. And you know what I've noticed, and full disclosure, I'm even a part of a new soccer facility that's about to kick off here over in Columbia, Illinois. But there's a lot of different soccer programs and leagues and facilities that are really popping up. And I think it's because of not just the hype from St. Louis City SC, but from the reaction of the culture that's like, yes, like this is a good place for soccer. This is a historically rich place for soccer, and it's not just youth sports. It's really everybody. So I'm loving the residual effects of all the work that City has done, directly and indirectly. I'm loving the buzz and the feel and the excitement around the city, around the sport. I've been trying to share this sport and grow this sport, and I'm just so happy that it's just all lining up, and for years we talked about bringing MLS to the STL, and there was, this guy on the Illinois side that wanted to do it, and he was getting MLB players to maybe, pledge some money, and that fell through. And I mean, I was trying to be a part of anything that I could that was bringing St. Louis to bringing MLS soccer to St. Louis, and it was tough, man. I brought my kids to every Athletica matches. I brought my kids to all the STLFC matches. I brought my kids when the WP was it women's professional soccer? It was WPS, right?
Yeah, WPSL.
When the WPSL came here, and they did their first couple matches at a college over in Edwardsville, I believe, and I was there, or Collinsville maybe. I was there. I was dragging my kids all the way over there to try to do anything I could to support St. Louis soccer. And the fact that it's just like lining up, and it was the best thing that had happened when it happened and who it happened with the Taylor family and the Enterprise Company and all that kind of thing. I'm just so happy, man. I'm happy we're talking about all this.
Before we get to Matt Sebek here in a few minutes, I do want to talk about our excitement coming up for Tuesday. We had another friendly, the last one of the year, against New York Red Bull. Ended up being a 2-2 tie. But what jumped out to me from that tie had to be that Blom got the opening goal on an assist from Thomas Totland, and then it was Nokvi Thoresen who got the nod at the dot for a penalty shot in the second half, and he converted from there. And the Blom one's interesting to me because obviously we see him in an attacking role very often. The couple times he did score a goal, it was pretty special. But the Blom thing's fascinating to me just because I think the position battle between him and Chris Durkin has really heated up over the preseason. And I think that's my biggest question. As much as I'm wondering exactly what the attacking, 3 or 4 players is going to be, is it Nookvi, is it Celio, so on and so forth. I really think at this point, the battle between Blom and Durkin and the potential of will they ever play together in a two-man pivot, I think that's becoming the most fascinating thing as we head out of the preseason into the regular season.
Yeah, and it all stems from that thing that we heard from Coach. Coach Carnell said in preseason last year is that this is a competitive environment, and these guys are competing for spots, and that's healthy. That they're approaching that in a very healthy way. They're making sure that these guys are working their hardest in training. These are hard training sessions, and they even said, like, compared to some of the other squads, and just kind of viewing the differences in philosophies and how they're attacking preseason, how they're attacking training. This is a team. This is a philosophy that's going in saying, hey, nobody's guaranteed a spot here, man. Just because you're getting paid more than this guy or you're expected to do more than this guy or something. It was, I think when we had Joe Aquini on here, he said, every training session is this healthy, competitive, I am after the starting spot, no matter what the expectation is. And I love that. You get worried about that and you hear, is that going to cause weird rifts? Is it going to cause a strange locker room? But I think it's a great thing, and I think we saw a lot of the results from it last year.
I do want to read a quote here from media availability earlier this week. Kristen Carver asked Zhao Klaus about Chris Durkin because they have some history together, and here was Zhao's really incredible answer. Quote unquote, first of all, Chris is a great friend. We knew each other from Belgium. Before I signed with St. Louis, I asked him about the MLS and about life in the U.S., and now it's the opposite. I'm really happy that he's joined us. He's a great player that can cover a lot of ground. He will fit in our system very well, and it looks like he's already been here for months. We're very happy to have him. I'm very happy to have my friend back with me, and I'm sure Chris will help us a lot this season. I don't know if there's a better quote to hear from Zhao Klaus about a new player than that one right there.
Yeah, that's great. And it goes back to the FIFA stuff. You want that chemistry. You want those green lines. You don't want red and yellow where they don't know each other. And you know what I mean? Like that's a good part of the FIFA mentality if you're a video gamer.
I love that. And just, again, I really do think that Durkin has made that the most interesting competition. And again, I keep wondering, does it have to be a competition, or is there a way that you devise a city scheme that is good for 2-man pivots? I think, and the reason why this is fascinating, because this goes back to our discussions last year, which is, where's the best place to put an Edward Leuven? And when Leuven tells me my favorite place is to be further back so I can get the ball from the defense and then dictate what's going forward. That when you're a player like Leuven says that's what he wants, I want him to be in those situations. And so I understand if the thought process is, well, a Blom Durkin pivot probably doesn't ever allow Leuven to get the ball in that situation as much, because as good as Blom and Durkin are, and Blom scoring a goal, Durkin said from Klaus, he can cover a lot of ground. I don't know how much you want those guys working up the field as offensive players on a consistent basis. And so maybe that's what's holding them back from doing a double pivot. But none of this is a negative thing. Whoever the starting 11 is, I'm going to be excited about it because, then you get down to who's at front. Is it, like I said, if you play 2 strikers, is Leuven an outside midi for you? And is AZ Jackson your 10? Or how are you going to play it? There's so many different ways for Carnell and company to play it. And in some ways that can be a negative. But right now going into the season, I'm just trying to focus on the positives, which is I don't know if there's a scheme they have to, or I shouldn't say a scheme because we obviously know their scheme. I don't know if there's a formation that they could go out there that I would criticize as long as it's just about getting the best 11 players out there. And I really think that's what could be fun for Bradley Carnell, is that he can do a lot of different formations, because this is a very versatile team that can kind of total football their way around the field and kind of formulate and mesh into different formations depending on what the situation is. And I think that's the thing to watch for through this City team. What's their formation on the attack? What's their formation on defense? What's their formation in transition? That's the question, because this team doesn't run one formation. A lot of times during a game, they run 3 different formations, and it's one of each of them in each sequence of the game. So keep an eye out for that, because something tells me they're going to be a flexible team this year.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to it. We did a lot of that back in my heyday of playing. We did a lot of 4-4-2 into WW type of things, depending on who was out there and how quickly we needed to adjust. And I know I caught a lot of controversy last year, especially beginning of the season, because my I mean, we'll just say it like my intense. Well, I don't. I'll say intense criticism of Leuven and how particular plays went or fears that I may have had. But I think you're right, dude. And after hearing him say that he's more comfortable being kind of a CDM where he can kind of look up, that is where he's the most creative because he needs that extra beat. And when he has that extra beat, he's creative and he can put the ball wherever he wants, as long as he has that extra beat. And if he's not stressed out being a center attacking mid where he needs to make this up kind of closer to the box line, to that 18, I think he's going to be just an incredible asset this year. And I am very excited. I am very excited to see him with some speed in front of him, and he gets that extra beat. He controls that moment in the back midfield, and he's just going to put that ball on people's foot because he is he's good at that, man. He's good at that. We saw a lot of that last year. The only thing I'm concerned about with our midfield, as I said in the very get-go of last year, is just possession. I don't want to see any balls being lost in that midfield. But I think you're right, man. I think there's nothing but positives to look forward to right now.
Looking at a couple of these position battles, I just want to get kind of your thoughts on your expectations when you look at Tuesday. Let's say it's a classic 2023 City formation. Let's say they come out in, let's call it the flat four. I think that's fairly likely. They come out in a 4-4-2, back four, two middies, two wide midfielders, and then two strikers. I think it's pretty easy to say that Clausen and Denner are your strikers up top. But my bigger question then comes as we work backwards, and let's go through that. So the midfield, I think at this point, and disagree with me, please, if you do. I think at this point, if you had to pick two starting center middies, it would be Durkin and Leuven.
Yeah, I think so. 100%.
And then on the outside, I think you got to go AZ on one side. And then this could be controversial. I think with the way he's been playing and with the way they talk about him as a forward player, I think they could, if they're going to play a more, a more conservative formation, then maybe they take a little bit of risk with who they put in that conservative formation. AZ on one side, Nokvi Thoresen on the other side.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say Thoresen. I would say start Thoresen as well.
Although, oh my God, I keep forgetting about Indy Vasilev, and I don't see. I don't know if they start Thoresen over Vasilev, and I think you have to start AZ. I think AZ is one of the 5 or 6 guys who's unless there's a fatigue issue, he's a guaranteed start every time. I think Indy's close to that though, so I think you might have to go Indy.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's been happening preseason and training and all that kind of stuff. I would still start Jackson because I think that you have more explosive potential there, and you at least give him the shot. I would tell Vasilev to be ready at any time, and Pompeu is going to be ready at any time to take a winger role if he needs to, or throw.
I want him off the bench. I want him attacking a defense on their back heels in the 65th minute. That's when I want Celio with no fatigue at all. I want him 100% going against a gas defense.
As do I, but that he's fighting for a starting position. He's fighting for something, whether he can get it over here or get it over there. I would still start Jackson and Thoresen as well. I love Vasilev, but I haven't seen him in preseason really. I haven't seen the training, but I think he's teetering, but he's still on the bench first.
All right. Well, we'll talk about the defense later, Moon, because we're now going to have to bring in our guest for today's show, the CEO, Chief Experience Officer for St. Louis City SC, Matt Sebek, joins Soccer 101 right now. Matt, thank you so much for joining me and Moon.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, how you been, man? I haven't seen you since last season. I know we've
been in hiding. We're only a couple days away. Champions Cup on February 20th, next Tuesday. So we're just a short while away. Weather's nice in St. Louis, so we're pumped.
How has your off season been? How have you been?
It's been awesome. First year, pretty remarkable. But I think the culture at the club, and this is really driven from our amazing local ownership group, is to not rest on the laurels of season 1, and we really want to create this vibe that is Netflix season 2. So if you dialed into season 1, season 2 is going to be even better. New characters, new storylines, and we're pretty pumped about that. So you saw the food announcements, continue to elevate the game day experience. So that's just, I think, the mentality that we have is let's improve on season 1.
Yeah, man. I'm interested in. I know you and I have talked a little bit about some behind the scenes stuff for this kind of podcast. I'm interested in behind the scenes, and Rocchio and I have been talking about the behind the scenes stuff with what's going on the field, of course. Because we get the updates, and that stuff is harder to it's harder to hide because there's just a cadence and a pattern to how all those announcements come out. So we just got done talking about the field, what we're expecting, and all that. But I imagine your off season is probably the most on season. You're probably working, setting all these things up. And then we have these announcements just before the season. And I'm imagining, and tell me if I'm wrong, the season is about executing all the work that you have been doing in the off season. Is that true?
It is. Yeah, absolutely. And I think what is, the mentality again is this continuous improvement though. And, we have, anywhere from 17 to 20 home games a season. And all of these are data points, and, fans give us a ton of feedback, whether it's, on social feeds or the surveys that we're sending out to ticket holders. And, they're telling us things to fix. So while it's not these big, food partner announcements and music programming, and we are making continuous improvement and small little enhancements along the way. So I think for the off season, it is some of the bigger rocks that have to be moved, and been doing work down at the stadium and just kind of looking at what worked and what were areas for improvement. So level up and double down, as we've been saying around the office.
Something we also talked about, Matt, is building the culture around the team and kind of finding a way to mesh that with the culture of the city. And obviously what goes on the field has a huge part to that. But you guys also off the field and everything you do are also a big part of meshing those two things.
I think, yeah, and I think there are similarities. You talk to Lutz and Bradley. There's this very, it's the high pressing, gig and pressing style that is very blue collar. And I think it's a style that St. Louis has been captivated by. Off the field, we have similar mentality that we've got a little bit of a chip on our shoulder, and we want to carry ourselves with a bit of swagger. And, I think it's easy to pay attention to the coastal teams. And that's not to say that, I think LAFC and, Miami's and New York, they're doing fantastic work. But for us to enter the league in, middle of America, and we wanted to prove people wrong. And I think we've come out of the door incredibly strong, both on the field and off the field. We've broken records, whether it's, ticket deposits or merchandise sales. And it's been nice, I think, for St. Louis to be able to puff our chest a little bit and say, you need to watch out for us. And we want to continue that mentality into season 2.
Hey, to take you back for just one second, you were talking about, listening to the feedback. And I know, we're St. Louisans. We all have opinions, and we're pretty cool with sharing those opinions. And so, I mean, if you could, and I'm not trying to, this isn't a gotcha in any way. Like what did you find that you thought was going to work that maybe didn't, that you wanted, or that you are making changes for this year? Not negative feedback necessarily, but like just something that you're like, this didn't work.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I'd say, one of the more surprising things was, I think, again, you can think of St. Louis, middle of America, late to embrace technology. We came out of the gates, we're 100% digital ticketing, 100% cashless. And, even some of our counterparts in other stadiums here in St. Louis have tried to go cashless, and it's been hard, and it's been met with opposition. So for us as a new venue, we wanted to set the stage and say, this is the behavior moving forward. And we've been pleasantly surprised at people, the way that they've embraced a cashless venue or mobile technology, like mobile order ahead at 10 of our restaurant partners. So I'd say that was a pleasant lesson learned, Moon, was just how much our fan base was willing to embrace new models of transaction and new technology. We've, of course, Moon, on your show, talked about the magic stores, as you called them, the walkout markets. Those were, I think, a bit of a big swing for us. And we, had questions on if that was something that St. Louis was going to embrace, and people loved them. So, pleasant surprise there. And I think, the other part is, looking at data and getting feedback about things that we thought were, pretty simple, but if the formula is not broke, don't change it. And things like, turning the lights out in pregame and having everything go city red. Like, honestly, we've had a lot of other teams reach out across leagues and ask us, how we do that or how we're able to achieve that effect. It's honestly probably the most low tech thing that we do. There's no real magic behind it. I think it's just the simplicity and the consistency and the eeriness of the music and the environment and the lights to create that 360 mood. So it's those types of things that I think our instinct is, how do we really elevate it and change it and get to the next level? But we've had to have some honest conversations about, if it's not broke, don't fix it, because fans really like it.
Yeah. I mean, soccer, it's such a customary thing, you get into routines and all that, and you guys are building like, routines and staple fixtures of the experience and all that. I can't imagine just the pressure of that is immense after everything's announced and you're trying to build it. And kudos to you, man. Congratulations on just an incredible season of amazing experience down at the stadium. My children loved it. Everyone that I knew that was dragged there because they weren't soccer fans, they came out going, oh my gosh, I love this. I'm not sure if I love the sport, but I love this experience. So congratulations to you. My hat's off. Huge applause. And I couldn't have been more impressed with the in-game experience.
That's great, Moon. No, I appreciate that. And I serendipitously have had similar interactions. I've always been the soccer guy in my groups of family and friends. And, for them to come out to the stadium and their response is, I think I'm a soccer fan now. This was so unexpected. But I think it is that energy that the collective fan base brings, that soccer is a lot more fun. And I think a lot of people, if you are a casual sport fan in St. Louis, that now, once you've seen a game and you've experienced it, I think you've seen that growth in the fan base happen over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Speaking of that excitement, Matt, obviously today is the beginning of a big weekend for you guys. Obviously, you have the pep rally coming up with Bradley Carnell. You have the fashion show also coming up with a lot of the players, and even some broadcasters are going to be out there showing the duds. But of course, because of all that, it comes from the fact that you guys have a new away jersey for the 2024 season. I know a lot of people are pretty excited about that.
We are. Yeah. And it's, again, if you're new to the sport, soccer, unlike some of the others, a new jersey is typically an annual thing. And it is a very physical, tactile thing that signifies a rebirth and a new year. So we're really, really excited about this. We've been working on this particular kit for the last 2 years, and we're excited to show it off today. Actually, I have it on. So you ready?
Oh yeah, we're ready.
Dude, I'm ready. This is one of my favorite things. Oh yeah, that's sick looking.
That is a clean jersey. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys hit it out of the park. That is a beautiful jersey.
It is really, So obviously, really leaning into the city red. The city red home jersey will stay, but it looks really great on that red. Looks great on broadcast. So to bring that tonal red, so we go one color on the city logo, of course the Adidas logo, Purina, BJC, and then of course our city flag.
Oh yeah, look at that. I love that. And it's
awesome.
It's got the city red band down the side too, down the seam.
Yeah.
I see that.
So really leaning into the city red. And then quick story about the design. The I was going to say that on the front is actually driven. So the name of the kit is the Confluence kit. So as we in St. Louis know, the intersection of Missouri and Mississippi rivers meet at Confluence Point here in St. Louis across our region. And so we just love this analogy of those two rivers forming, unity, but also a perpetual energy and motion and moving forward, which, you see at game day, you see the flags and the energy in City Park. So we wanted to bring that really dynamic pattern to the jersey. But I think what's cool is we've ended up with a bit of a visual design here that every kit will not look the same.
Oh,
so
okay.
It actually ends up looking a bit like a fingerprint, which we think is a beautiful analogy for, whether it's media, front office, chefs, our players, our coaches have all, spent the last 3 years and specifically last year putting their fingerprint on the club. So we like this idea that the name of the campaign is Leave Your Mark, which is, literal to the fingerprint, but also, hey, it's a white jersey. Dirty it up, get signatures on it, rub some dirt on it. whatever you do, it really becomes the uniform of St. Louis. So we really love this kit.
I love it, man. This is one of my favorite things. I've been a Manchester United and an EPL fan for 20 something years now, and every single year I turn into an 8-year-old kid every time they're about to release the new kits. Like, that's my favorite thing. So now that I have like a squad that I'm just absolutely in love with that represents my home team, this is going to be one of the most exciting announcements for me that comes year after year after year. So thank you for sharing that here, and I can't wait to get my name on the back of one.
That's right.
And now, quick question: is the St. Louis flag at the bottom of the jersey, is that a single tone? Is that all just the red white?
Yeah. So everything in the kit is tonal. So
I love that.
Yeah,
that's
really
that's
cool.
a great decision.
And that's what, even, for Purina, a brand that is, a global brand in red, for them to, change the color to match our tonal city red.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think just shows, the partnership that we have with Purina and BJC. So it is bright, it's bold, it's going to look great at those away games on broadcast. So we're really happy about it. Players love it too.
One more thing, Matt, before we get some final notes about this big weekend. You mentioned earlier, I just want to go back because you and Moon were talking about, getting kids involved and getting people who aren't soccer fans. One quick thing, with you guys putting your fingerprint on things, can you dive into a little bit about what went into the changes you're making for the City 2 games and how important it is to really, get people out there, and how great it is to have like a 6 p.m. Sunday night event during the summer for families to kind of take their kids to?
No, it's a great point. And, I'm born and raised in St. Louis, so sometimes I make baseball analogies a little too much, despite being a massive soccer fan. But, the Cardinals have the Memphis Redbirds. That's their AAA team. Well, we have our minor league, our development team is City 2, and they play right here in St. Louis. And so we just think it's such an amazing opportunity for us, especially, not only to build the next generation of talent on the field, but for, City Park games and our first team, a lot of them are sold out and a lot of them are on Saturday nights. So bringing, the next generation of fans through the door can be a challenge. So we think City 2 is an amazing platform and an opportunity with, younger players, providing accessibility, Sunday afternoon games, like you said, lower price point for food and tickets. We think is, great opportunity to bring kids, spend a couple hours at the park in the summer, bring a whole youth team to come check out the game. So we're really excited about it. The City 2 team is excited about it, hanging out after the game, signing autographs, getting pictures. So I think it's those little moments. While it's not the first team stars, this is really where we can provide some really great experiences and some accessibility into the City fold.
Yeah, that's incredible. I'm so excited for the season. Thank you again for all the hard work you and the front office and everybody has done over at St. Louis City SC. We're excited for the season. It all kicks off on the 20th here at City Park for CONCACAF Champions Cup against Houston, and then the MLS season starts 4 days later, and it's off to the races, dude. Off to the races. It's
going to be great. And thank you for all you guys do, continuing to provide the, education, and you guys have such fun with soccer. You guys are, undeniably fans of the game. So it's, however we can help out, just let us know.
And really quickly, Matt, before we let you go, just tell everybody out there, how can they get involved in the pep rally? And are there still tickets available to the fashion show on Sunday?
So the fashion show is sold out, but I encourage everyone, if you're a City fan or just new to it, the pep rally Saturday at the Armory from 1 to 3 is going to be an amazing event. Armory is huge. It's free to get in. Coach Carnell will be speaking. We'll be showing off the new kits. The team will be there. You'll have a chance to win autograph sessions. Our supporter groups will be there leading chants and cheers. So we'll be kind of a mini City Park festival. It's just at the Armory Saturday from 1 to 3.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. We're just going to wrap up the episode right here because we're going to be back again with Soccer 101 next week, right after that initial kickoff to the season happening on the 20th at City Park for the Champions Cup. Matt, thank you. Other Matt, thank you as well. And we will see you out at City Park there, Matt Sebek and Matt Rocchio. And for Soccer 101, I would say that was a nice shot and a goal!